Hey everybody, gotta get my North Shore mittens on here. My great buy from 2 summers ago. Oh, I dug them out of the drawers just today. Always good to have mittens instead of gloves when it's really cold. Hey, it warmed up today. It's like 13 degrees. I can't believe it. It's been right around the high of 0, I think, for the last 4 days. And with the wind chills accompanying, so I got my big sweater on. This one of those things, I got a lot of compliment. I always dig it out when it's below 0. And I bought it my first year of campus ministry at UW Stout. Someone bought a ton of sweaters back from Ecuador and was selling them on the sidewalk by the student center in Menominee there at UW Stout. And I forget how much it cost, but I thought, I've always wanted one of those. And I kind of wanted the ones with were kind of really colorful, like blue and red and orange and all that. But they didn't fit so well. And this one fit like a glove, and it still does 25 years later, which is amazing because I don't have the same body. But I don't know. Anyway, it gives me some happiness on cold days that I get to pull out my Ecuadorian sweater that I bought in 1997 or 98. Anyway, so, hey, got a bunch of parish news. I had a big sheet of quotes from today's papal audience. Pope Francis talked about last week. Remember gluttony? If you tuned in last week, he said, "Tell me what you eat, and I'll tell you the condition of your soul." I think tell me how you eat. He connected like our appetites for food with how we live and our attitude toward life, which is really interesting to me. You can check out last week's talk if you want to hear more of that. And today he went on talking about lust. So coming attraction. I'll talk about lust before the end of the talk today. But I forgot I actually had the text of what he was saying. I was underlined. I was going to read quotes. I just have to sort of remember. Okay, bunch of parish news today. Where should we start? I just talked to. It's not really parish news, but I was just Facebook messaging with our pilgrimage guide in Jerusalem, Rami, and getting some advice. I'm trying to set up for February 2026. I was wondering April or February. April, the weather's better, but it's just a lot more expensive. So I try to make them not so expensive, which is getting harder. And we'll see. We continue to pray for peace. Can you hear that? I set up this camera by some oak trees with the these kind of leaves. So I thought it might give us some nice sound effects. We're kind of right near the North Crossing highway, so maybe you hear the buzz of cars more than the rustling leaves. I should have maybe walked another 1/8 of a mile over the hill, blocked that sound. But this is okay. So a lot of snow here. It's not quite enough snow to ski yet. And I don't think they groom this anymore. This is the Northwest City Park, not so far from StJames, just across the North Crossing and Jeffers Road. But anyway, I was talking to Rami, and I wish they could Venmo. I'd like to give him a little gift, but he said they don't Venmo over in Israel. It's just hard to get funds over there because they don't have there's no work now, because there's no groups going over there. He said there's a couple groups from Indonesia there. I think I mentioned that in a previous track. He said there's one American group that showed up, to everybody's surprise, in Jerusalem on a tour group. And he said next week there's a 4-bus group, a huge group, 4 buses. That's like 200 people from Italy. There's a group of pilgrims coming in. So there are a few pilgrims going to the Holy Land, but most, like ourselves, have canceled because of the Gaza war and the instability over there. The wind blew and then I almost blew this off. I'll have to watch this. Let's see here. Okay, how am I going to do this? Oh yes, a little more stable. Okay, hopefully that's a little more stable. So so we're all set for June 2025. We got booking. I'm trying to book the very last few days of January and the beginning of February for 2026. So, okay. So what else did he say? He said things are about the same. He said the violence is more contained in Gaza now, which is still awful. You never know what they see on the news, what we see on the news, and what's actually happening. It's not good. So we continue to pray for peace. We haven't had the peace vigils on Sunday. We did it for quite a while, many consecutive weeks. I'd like to start it again this Sunday, but the PCCW is having their big 75th anniversary, which I'll be at. And so this week there's no time to do a hour of prayer for peace. Would have been a good week to do it, to pray for peace. We could also pray for the lives of the unborn. It's a weekend. The Roe v. Wade anniversary is often a time when we pray for the life of the unborn and greater respect for that in our world. The KCs will be at our masses selling lifesavers. I asked the organizers exactly where the money goes. I'm not sure, but it goes in the general description. It says they make donations to support a culture of life. So the dignity of life from the womb to the tomb, in all facets of life. But on this weekend, really highlighting life of the unborn. So we had Martin Luther King feast, another dignity of life issue, racism and trying to get along with people with differences and to treat everyone with equality and not be prejudiced about skin color and creed or orientation and all that stuff. And it kind of went by a little less noticed maybe in my life because we didn't have the Salika, who usually organizes the MLK service, the commemoration service that had been at StJames for a long time but moved to the Pablo last couple of years. She had a hip replacement, so wasn't able to do the work, and she's really she makes it all happen. So I see there's something scheduled at Schofield Hall, UW Eau Claire, in commemoration of Martin Luther King, I think February 6th, but you could Google Martin Luther King, UW Eau Claire, February 2024. I'm sure it would come up. So I'd like to be able to go to that. I'm still reading. I'm just plodding at the slowest pace ever through the Jonathan Eig biography of Martin Luther King. So I'm still he's still in college studying for his divinity degree. But he just met Coretta Scott, who he would marry. And Coretta, I don't know why I mentioned it in the middle of Mass at the 8 o'clock Mass last weekend, but she didn't think Martin was the one for her because he was too short. She was a very substantial woman, incredibly bright. She went to Juilliard, I think. She could have gone to Juilliard, but she went to Boston Conservatory of Music to study, I think, voice. Yeah, so she was a great singer. And that's where she met Martin, because he went to Morehouse, or Boston University. There's a seminary there, and that's where they met. And she thought he was too short. She had some kind of, I guess, image of the kind of man she wanted to be with. So you don't think of someone as large and impactful in the world, or maybe you do. I don't know, but I can't imagine standing next to Martin Luther King and being 5-6 inches taller than him. That would seem odd, but I guess I get used to it. Because these heroes, you tend to think they're just so big. And anyway, it's neither here nor there. I saw some pictures of him the other day, early in the fall. Maybe I mentioned he went to UW Marathon County to give a speech in 1967 in the fall, just about a year before he was killed. Yeah. Anyway, I hope to get more interesting things to say about him as I read that than that his wife-to-be thought he was kind of short. There's another nice story about her, was that she was her character didn't have anything to do with Martin Luther King, but she was in New York City, and I guess she had a friend who had a aunt of some means, and she wanted to give her a tour of New York City, and she would take her to all these museums, and the aunt would wait in the car, and Coretta would go to the museum and then come back to the car real fast. And so this aunt was thinking, oh, she doesn't like what I'm doing. She's not enjoying these museum visits. and she told her friend, kind of, they had a mediator, a go-between person. So it says Aunt Edna told her niece, who was a friend of Coretta's, yeah, I don't think she liked what I did. She doesn't seem to like art, and she just would stay for a couple of minutes, then she'd come right back to the car. And so she was a little bit insulted by that, plus a little, I guess, unimpressed that she wouldn't have an appreciation for art, all these beautiful museums in New York. And then, so that woman told Coretta, and she said, oh, I wanted to stay longer, but I didn't want her to wait in the car in the cold. So I just went in and I just saw enough pieces so I could talk to her about what I saw. And then I left right away because I didn't want her to just sit in the car in the cold. Wasn't that funny? So then the aunt heard that and said, oh, wow, she's really an awesome person, very loving and considerate and all that. It's like, you ever hear that story about the married couple that it's like all their life, they'd have a loaf of bread, fresh loaf of bread, and the wife would cut it, and she would take the end piece and then give him a nice middle piece, and I guess for years and years the husband resented that because he wanted the end piece. And then finally it kind of came out and says, why do you always take the end piece? That's the best part. And she goes, oh, I thought it was the worst part. I was eating the worst part so you could have the best part, So much of it's communication, I guess. You always hear that in marriages, right? Or friendships or anything. But so a little bit like that with Coretta Scott. Okay, back to Parish News. Whoa. So we are going to, the diocese is promoting a program, it's called like Jesus and the Eucharist or something like that. So the Year of the Eucharist. And it's a video series. It'll be 2 hours a week for 7 weeks. But the staff did a little preview, and it sounds like it might be something good that might have some interest for people in the parish. And so we're going to run it the first Saturday before Lent, and then all the way through up to the eve of Holy Week. That'll be 7 weeks. So if you're looking for something extra to do, something that might help you appreciate the gospel, the good news of Jesus, some of the basics of the faith, and also leading up to more appreciation of the Eucharist and what it can mean in your life and our life together. I haven't seen it all, so I'll be watching it fresh with you. I'm committing to that. I think Christine said she'll be committing to that. It will start February 10th. So that's the last Saturday before Lent starts. And from 10 to 2. And I think this video just runs, so we'll try to stream it in the gathering space. And then there's time for discussion and things like that. And the video just keeps running. And it's like a timer. Like if there's 20 minutes for a discussion, you just see the video on a clock. I just saw a little bit like that. So who knows? Maybe it'll be something that really helps people. Maybe people won't like it so much, and we can discuss that. I don't know. One thing I did ask, because it's important to me, I asked because I heard it presented when I was at the priest council meeting in La Crosse. The people were really excited about it. And I said, is this about Eucharist, just like me and the Eucharist? Like, I need to believe more that it's Jesus, it's just individual relationship with the Eucharist, or does it have that communal aspect? Whoa. Sorry about that. My paper blew away. And they said, oh, very much both. So I hope that's true, that it's both emphasizes the wonder of what the Eucharist is in itself, but also what it can mean for us. In fact, I just saw, I don't know if you ever heard of Brother Casey or Father Casey. He's a Franciscan. He's got a great YouTube channel. If you want to search it after you watch this, or maybe you want to just search it right now. So it's, how do you search for him? I think he goes by Father Casey, Breaking in the Habit. So whenever I want to find him, I just go Father Casey Habit. And then he kind of comes up. And in the last video he posted, I think he's great. I think he's really, the way he talks about all manner of things. Some really interesting topics. He said this Eucharistic revival, he said, this is supposed to be like the Year of the Eucharist. We're doing things of the Eucharist. There's going to be this big procession of the Eucharist through Wisconsin, like in June. Maybe you hear, but it won't come real close to Eau Claire, so I'm not sure how much we'll advertise it. But go across the Mississippi River at Winona, and then go to La Crosse, and then through central Wisconsin. Anyway, he said it's, some years ago, what really was a catalyst for this year of the Eucharist, or it's actually like 3 years, is that there was a poll to Catholics: do you believe that what you consume at communion is the body and blood of Christ? Or is it just a symbol? And they said 70% of Catholics said it's just a symbol. Well, that'd be, wrong in terms of Catholic teaching. So it's like, what can we do to, help people really believe what we teach, that it's really Jesus that we receive and not just a symbol. So there's been a lot of like the diocese really was emphasizing a lot of things like Eucharistic miracles, like times hundreds of years ago when the Eucharist would appear to take on actually physical characteristics of skin and things like that. I've never really been convinced by that. I don't want to put it down. If it's been important to you, I don't mean to be offensive, but that's not very central to my belief in how it's Jesus. I just really feel like it's an encounter with the Lord, a real encounter, and not just a remembrance. And not, when it gets too much into like molecules, like skin and things like that, I know that's not really good, solid Catholic doctrine, So, molecules don't change. It's just the reality of what it is, Anyway, he said that the church has done a pretty good job just trying to teaching of what it is, but we've not been great at, what's missing is what Eucharist does to us, how it changes us, what our participation in Eucharist does for us, how it transforms us, so it can make us more like Christ. The pattern of, this is my body given for you, that Jesus in the Eucharist is blessed, broken, and given, and so we should know that we're blessed, we're loved, and that we're broken, we're loved even in our brokenness, and then following Jesus, we live out of that brokenness, and we join ourselves to other people that are broken, and we give ourselves away in communion with them, and we serve them, and we love them, and that makes us more Christ-like. And he's not hearing as much of that as he is about it's really Jesus in the host. So both of those being real important. So anyway, I asked them at La Crosse, I said, will it have this communal dimension too? And they said, definitely, for sure. So that gave me some confidence that this would be a pretty good program, have that balance to it. How about the Packers? Whoa, it's not really parish news, but I had the pleasure of watching that with 7 other people, and high fives. Oh my gosh, they kept getting touchdowns in Dallas. And sadly, all the YouTube sports videos I was watching were they're all more about how bad the Cowboys were than how great the Packers were. Wasn't that something? We'll see what happens Saturday night in San Francisco, actually in Santa Clara, right? Let's see. Speaking of entertainment, the Packers, on February 3rd, that's a Saturday, we're going to have Parish movie night. I wrote about it in the bulletin. It's called The Holdovers. It was released. It was in Eau Claire just for a couple weeks, and then it went away. I already saw it twice. I got it, and then I actually bought it. It's not a G-rated movie. There's nothing really. There's no like sex or drugs, but there's like allusions to that, and probably some language that's not the best. So what I could tell from these family-oriented movie rating sites, they said 15 years and older. So, but I just thought, boy, this is a good movie just as far as healing and different people that come together that are different. It's about these an elite high school, prep school out in the East Coast, and Christmas break, and people that can't go, their families don't have time for them, or there's been death in one guy never married and he's kind of alone, and it's just these people come together, and just the way they kind of support each other through those days, what they learn about each other, what they learn about life, and how healing comes in their lives. And so that was worth showing. And he actually, the guy in it, just won the Golden Globe for Best Actor, Paul Giamatti. So anyway, we'll give that a go if you're 15 or older, if you want to see that film. And we'll show it at maybe 6:15 on February 3rd. Speaking back of football, I'll just kind of be a whipsaw today. We got we have the grandson of a parishioner that's going to be in the Packer game. I don't know if he'll play or not. I'm not sure he's playing. But he's an offensive lineman. He used to play for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mid-season, he was traded to the San Francisco 49ers. and it's Ginny's grandson, Ben. And he's number 78. So if you see number 78 playing for the Niners on Saturday night, that's we got a relation at StJames Parish there. So that, if the Packers do lose, we can pull for Ben and his team, and maybe he'll come back and visit us and show us a Super Bowl ring. That'd be kind of great. But I'll still root for the Packers, but hope nobody gets hurt, especially him. Let's see. I'm covering a lot of ground here. Keep going. I mentioned the PCCW is having their 75th anniversary party. In case you don't get to the party, I give a little talk about how much they meant to the parish over the years. And they know I've just been here for 9 years. But, they're always serving the funeral luncheons. They spearhead the cleaning up the church a couple times a year. And they bought the stove for us, and when the rectory improvements or a vestment that I need, they raise money and they use it to serve the parish. Some local charities they serve as well. They provide community for women in the parish. It's a group that they can belong to and be active in if they want to. Bake sales, they get some money from that. They get some money from dues. Women pay $20 a month if they're able to belong there, and they give scholarships for people at our Catholic high school as they move from 8th grade to high school. They offer scholarships. That's just a piece of what they do, So, hey, congratulations to them for 75 years. I'm sure there'll be a good speech by Emma Barnett, who's the historian. I heard there's going to be a little transition in our library at the school. I thought, Emma, we could maybe talk her into coming back and being the school librarian next year, but I don't know. I think she would do that in 100 years and a half. We'll see. Anyway, we're still glowing from the celebration of her 100th birthday, late December. Coming attraction. So this Saturday, it's too late to order your meals now. They made 101 meals. They were hoping for more. I think it conflicted with the PCCW celebration, so that maybe brought numbers down. But a fundraiser for the service trip out to Billings, Montana, which I think I'm going to go on. I was kind of hemming and hawing about my summer, but I think I'm going to try to get a sub for that weekend and join the group. I can't think of a more fun group to be with. I know. I used to love doing those service trips in college and when I was campus minister. So, plus I heard, the mountain, they might go see some mountains. I love mountains. But anyway, the dinner that will support that and that. So if you did order a meal, pick them up. It's this Saturday between 5:30 and 6:30. And you go to that back kitchen entrance. Or if you're able, it would just make things easier. If you're at the Saturday Mass, just go downstairs to roll call, pick up your meal after Mass, and then go out. So then they don't have to run back and forth to the parking lot. Just make things a little easier. They made 800 raviolis, 101 orders. I saw them doing it last night. I was going to help, and then I kind of ran out of time. We had a finance council meeting, so I didn't really help. I watched them work, and they were doing great. I'd like to think I gave them moral support, but I don't know. You have to ask them. What do we got? Packers doing the... Oh, did you see that video of Jordan Love and the college student? So, I mean, it's really nice. I mean, so Green Bay, like one of these 0 degree days. They played on Sunday. I think it was Friday, maybe, or Thursday. There's a UWM student who's from Green Bay. She came home and she went to get a haircut. And while she was getting a haircut, her car got stuck in a snowdrift. And this car goes by and looks at her, and she looks at him, and he kind of keeps going, but then he pulls over, he gets out and says, are you stuck? Can I help you? And she's a big Packer fan, and it's Jordan Love. She recognizes him immediately. She's like, oh yeah, you're Jordan Love, And he goes, well, she goes, yeah, I'm stuck. He goes, well, maybe I can help you. So he goes, in the back, and he starts trying to push her out while she's driving. And apparently it didn't work. And she said, wait a minute, you got a game tomorrow. She goes, don't you push that. I don't want you to pull a muscle or something. I got other friends I can call, So he agreed. That was probably smart. And he went on his way. But they got a selfie. It's on YouTube, Jordan Love, Blizzard, search, you can find that. Anyway, isn't that great? I think Father Krasinski posted on his Facebook page. He said, this is the kind of guy that I want as the quarterback of my team, with a charitable, serviceable heart. Would Aaron Rodgers have done that? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Let's see. I thought I had all kinds of stuff. I got the Pope, right? Father, Aunt Edna I talked about. Bread and marriage, King, many marriage. Usually when I get home, I see that there's a book fair. So Catholic Schools Week is not this week, current week, and it's not next week, but it's the following week. So it's the very tip end of January into February. Will be Catholic Schools Week. Lots of great stuff planned. They're going to take a field trip to the Pablo Center and have some dinosaur exhibit. Either the girls or boys basketball team from Regis is going to come and have a challenge match against our 5th graders in our gymnasium, in quotes. We don't have a gym at StJames School, but we got this rec room downstairs, and they set up hoops, that are about 7 feet high. And Coach Neese, he always said, people kind of sometimes think, give St. James School a bad rap because they don't have a gym. But he said the 3 highest scoring players ever from Regis High School basketball all went through St. James. And they did okay without that gym. So anyway, we got Catholic School's coming up. And that means the book fair is coming. So it'll start on, where is that? 28th. Sunday the 28th of January. After the 10 o'clock Mass, you can get books at the book fair. It'll be in the gathering space, hopefully in half of the gathering space. It's always the balancing that school and parish needs, but we want to give them their space, but we need space for hospitality too. And so near the 11th Street doors, you'll see this book fair set up, and then we'll have hospitality on the other side. But you can get books there on that day, and then it'll be all week. If you want to get some books midweek, Wednesday morning, we have a 9 o'clock school mass, and they'll be open for selling books and stuff, I think at 8. Maybe have some muffins, but they'll stop serving muffins at 8:30 in case you want to go to Mass and observe the fast. And anyway, that's good. And then the next week, Saturday, before or after Mass, books will be available. So the book fair, okay? All right. So I'm already on 27 minutes. What a rambler I am. Lust, like gluttony. He said basically the thing there with lust is that he talks about is that he said there's no room in Christianity for condemning sexuality or for sexual desire. It's a good thing. It's given by God. Falling in love should be a great adventure, but it can be corrupted by lust. He said lust finds courtship and getting to know another person's soul and heart boring, because it's just kind of driven for pleasure and objectifying the other person, and it destroys us, and it can lead to addiction. But to see relationship, and it's always got to be connected to love and an open heart, and not trying to possess another, but really trying to love another. And the more you can empathize with the person's feelings and want them to succeed and understand their struggles and what they want, it's basically any good friendship. But sometimes something clicks, right? Chemistry, that wonderful gift of sexual attraction that can grow in that way. And to see that as an adventure, to be patient with it, not to possess and kind of rush into just sexual expression and pleasure, but to make that an outgrowth of the love. It was just really a great, healthy talk that he gave. And I wish I had all the kind of quotes right here to tell you, but probably I wouldn't have time anyway. To develop empathy, So, and I think, people struggle so much nowadays, and this was in terms of pornography and how objectifying that is to people and how demeaning it is of just this great gift of sexuality that we have, and divorcing sexual pleasure from relationship is just really a problem. It can just kind of lead to turning in on ourselves and addictiveness, and it's tough, but it really plagues us. And it's not to condemn people, but it's to have compassion for that and to try to encourage one another to always to not do that, basically, to really strive to avoid that temptation, because it just leads us down a dark hole. And I think praying to Mary is a pretty good thing for men anyway, heterosexual men. Because Mary's a woman, and if you're struggling with objectifying women, pray to Mary. She's beautiful, she's good, she's pure, and encourages that in our hearts as well. So maybe some more on that next week. God bless you.